Protests have been taking place in Bangkok, where Myanmar's junta chief is attending a regional summit days after an earthquake killed thousands of people in the region.
It's now 3 days since Myanmar was struck by a huge 7.7 magnitude.
A tall new building in Bangkok just crashed down, and more than 80 people are still missing. It was made by a big company from China and fell in seconds, with no warning at all. People are digging fast, trying to find anyone still alive. But now people say the building was already broken inside. Tune in, because one man says he heard it scream right before it fell. Now it's a tomb. This wasn't some sketchy back alley shack. This was a multi-million-dollar skyscraper finished just a year ago by a major Chinese engineering firm. They bragged about it all over social media until those posts mysteriously vanished right after the disaster. Weird, right? Almost like they knew this thing was a ticking time bomb. Now those same workers who were taking selfies on the roof last month, they're either missing, trapped, or worse. Over 80 people are still unaccounted for. But what if I told you this wasn't an accident, just the beginning of something much bigger? You can smell the panic in the air. Rescue teams are digging non-stop, clawing through slabs of concrete with whatever they can find. Heavy machines are growling through the mess, while dogs sniff for life under all that twisted steel. But here's the gut punch. Some folks are still alive down there. You can hear their faint cries. That sound, that stays with you. And let's talk about the survivor who barely made it out. He felt the ground shake, got dizzy, yelled for everyone to run, then sprinted for his life. Seconds later, the building just gave up, fell apart like a house of cards. He made it out by what can only be called pure luck. But his team, still inside. He went back to the rubble, standing there, broken, hoping they'd made it too. Eyewitnesses say traffic went wild. Cars swerved like crazy on the expressway. Some thought they blew a tire. Others felt dizzy. Then they realized it wasn't them. It was the whole city shaking. Phones went flying, coffee spilled, buildings groaned. And this one, it crumbled, just like that. Now people are pointing fingers. Who's to blame? The builders? The inspectors? The city? Someone definitely cut corners, and now they're hiding. Records are disappearing. Officials are dodging cameras. This thing stinks, and not just from the dust and debris. Families are camping out near the wreckage, clinging to hope. Pictures of loved ones taped to the gates. Candles, flowers, tears. It's a mess of broken dreams and silence, only broken by the buzz of rescue machines. No one knows how long this will take, but the longer it drags on, the darker the truth gets. And this isn't just about Bangkok anymore. The whole world is watching. Cities everywhere are now checking their own buildings. Are they safe, or are they sitting on a disaster waiting to happen? Some CEOs aren't sleeping tonight. There's also the shadowy role of the construction company. Their sudden silence says a lot. Social media wiped. No press statements, workers hushed. It smells like a cover-up. People are digging, not just in the rubble, but through contracts, blueprints, and money trails. What do they find? It might blow this story wide open. Local authorities are doing what they always do when things fall apart. Holding press conferences, looking nervous, avoiding real answers. They claim they're investigating. That sounds comforting, until you realize they said the same thing after other disasters. And nothing changed. Engineers are crawling all over what's left of the building, trying to figure out what failed. But anyone with eyes can tell this was more than one weak point. The whole structure just gave out. From top to bottom, steel and concrete buckled like paper. That doesn't happen unless someone messes up. Big time. Dig deeper, and things get darker. That Chinese engineering firm? Turns out they've been in hot water before. Other projects, other issues. Corners cut, safety skipped. But money talks, and they kept getting contracts. Now the receipts are coming out. People are demanding arrests, not just apologies, but real consequences. It's not enough to say, this was an accident, when lives were lost. Dozens of families are waiting for answers, and the clock is ticking. There's something else no one's talking about. A rumor that the foundation of the building wasn't laid right. That water damage from underground pipes had been weakening it for months. Insiders are whispering that inspections were faked, that the whole thing was rotten from the start. Photos are surfacing, ones taken months before the collapse. Cracks in walls, leaks in ceilings, bent rebar, warning signs, all ignored, or worse, covered up. Meanwhile, inside the rubble, time is running out. The first few hours after a collapse are critical. That window is closing fast. People under there, if they're still breathing, won't be for long unless they're reached. Every second counts, and still, the digging isn't fast enough. Volunteers have shown up, bringing food, water, and hope. But hope is wearing thin. Every time a body is pulled out, the crowd falls silent. Prayers, then cries. This place isn't just a disaster zone, it's a graveyard. Thailand's Prime Minister made a statement, promised full investigation, full accountability. That's nice to hear, but people want action. They want names. They want to know how something like this could happen in a city known for its modern skyline. The building wasn't even open yet. It was supposed to house businesses, shops, maybe even luxury apartments. It was meant to be a symbol of progress. Now, it's a symbol of failure, a concrete reminder that trust was broken. And this isn't over, not even close. More names are being added to the list of missing, more questions piling up. Journalists digging through financial records, insiders leaking documents. It's unraveling. If this happened once, it could happen again. People are wondering which building will fall next. What other structures are just one shake away from disaster? The fear is spreading, and fear, once it starts, is hard to stop. Just when people thought it was over, something even worse started to fall apart. Hollow towers, rusted steel, and expensive lies. Construction workers across the region are refusing to return to similar sites. They don't feel safe. They want reassurances, but no one's giving them. The silence from the top is louder than the drills. Insurance companies are panicking. Payouts on this level? It's going to cost billions. Lawsuits are being drafted, legal teams mobilized, and the headlines? They keep getting worse. The survivors who made it out are haunted. Flashbacks, nightmares, survivor's guilt. One man said he can't stop hearing the rumble of the building falling. He sees dust clouds every time he closes his eyes. Therapists are being brought in, mental health teams trying to help those affected. But trauma this deep doesn't fade, it festers. What's rising now is anger, boiling, sharp anger, at the system, to the people who let this happen, at those who looked the other way when cracks appeared, and the world is still watching, still refreshing news feeds, still waiting to see who falls next, not into rubble, but from power. Engines went silent, horns faded, and suddenly people started getting out of their cars. Not because someone waved them out, not because of roadblocks, it was instinct. Something in the air felt off. Heads turned, eyes darted. People looked up, down, sideways, trying to figure out what was going on. Confused faces everywhere. No one spoke. It was like a city holding its breath. And then the ground made its move. Bangkok doesn't have earthquakes. That's the scary part. Ask anyone who's lived there longer than 10 years, and they'll tell you they've never felt even the tiniest shake. That's why the fear was so raw. No one knew what to do. This wasn't California. There were no drills, no instructions, just raw, unexpected chaos. People froze, thinking, is this what I think it is? And then the building started to groan. A massive construction site, 30 floors tall, was the first to go. People saw it coming down in real time, not in slow motion, not with any kind of warning. 1 second it was towering over traffic. Next it was rubble. A thick wave of dust shot out across the street. People screamed, some ran, others ducked, and many just stood there, watching the whole thing fall apart like a bad dream. Every few blocks, new damage showed its face. A shattered window here, a cracked wall there. In some places, entire facades had peeled off like dead skin. Downtown Bangkok looked like it had been slapped by a giant hand. Malls, condos, cafes, nothing was spared. Social media lit up with blurry videos and shaky photos. People posting from balconies, parking lots, stairwells. Everyone is trying to make sense of a nightmare unfolding in real time. Still, no official word, no clear direction, just fear and confusion. Helicopters buzzed overhead, making it feel like a war zone. Sirens screamed from every corner, but progress? Barely any. Emergency crews struggled to move through the jammed streets. Ambulances sat locked in traffic, lights flashing but going nowhere. Then came the rumors. More buildings falling, fires breaking out, gas leaks, and the biggest question, was this a one-time hit or just the beginning of something bigger? By now, people had completely abandoned the high-rises. Some ran down dozens of flights of stairs barefoot. Others carried babies or pets in their arms. No one stopped for wallets, bags, or keys. They didn't care. They just wanted out, down, away from anything that could fall. The heat didn't help. 39 degrees Celsius turned sidewalks into ovens. People sat outside for hours, baking under the sun, scared to go back in. Some had blankets wrapped around their heads. Others poured water over their shirts. No one looked comfortable. Everyone looked scared. Bridges, too, became suspect. Cracks showed up in support beams. Chunks of concrete littered the sides of highways. A few overpasses were closed completely. That only added to the traffic mess. Bangkok's roads are usually jammed, but now it was gridlock from hell. Then the news broke. The epicenter wasn't even in Thailand. It was in Myanmar. That country, already struggling with weak infrastructure, had taken the worst of it. And if Bangkok looked like this, what on earth happened over there? The thought chilled people to the bone. Because while Bangkok had shaky buildings, Myanmar might have nothing left. Still, updates were slow. People turned to shaky live streams and grainy footage from across the border. It was pure devastation. Entire villages flattened, bridges gone, roads ripped apart, people crying on camera, begging for help, and yet barely any global response. Thailand got the spotlight. Myanmar got the shadows. In Bangkok, things kept unraveling. People started blaming developers. Rumors spread about shortcuts during construction, cheap materials, bribes, quick jobs to save money. And now, those shortcuts were body counts. People began to realize the real disaster wasn't just the earthquake. It was everything built on lies. Bangkok turned into a sleepless city. Food started running low. Supermarkets were overwhelmed. People rushed in, grabbing whatever they could. Water, canned goods, diapers. Shelves emptied fast. Prices jumped, and no one knew how long this would last. News anchors tried to stay calm, but their faces told a different story. Grim, pale. They knew this wasn't just a headline. This was a disaster still happening. And the more they talked, the more obvious it became. No one was in control. And if the towers falling wasn't enough, now the ground under the city is falling too. The clock has run out. By day 3, tempers flared. People started demanding answers. Why weren't there safety systems in place? Why were developers allowed to cut corners? Why wasn't the city better prepared? And that trust? It may never return. The quake didn't just shake buildings. It exposed every crack in the system. From greedy developers to lazy inspectors, to a government caught sleeping. The city now faces a long road back. But even if they rebuild, even if every tower gets reinforced, something is broken. And that something doesn't show up in blueprints. The world saw the videos, the tower falling. The people are screaming. The dust clouds swallowed the streets, and while the news cycle will move on, the scars will remain. This was never just about the earth shaking. It was about what happens when a city built on shortcuts finally faces the bill. Can Bangkok recover? Maybe, but only if it listens to the warning written in concrete and blood. If not, the next tremor won't need to be stronger. Just enough to bring down what's already cracked. What just popped up under Bangkok has people gasping, and for good reason. It's not some fancy shopping mall or shiny subway line. We're talking about something deep, dark, and dangerous that's been hiding under the city for years. And now, it's rising up, one crack at a time. Bangkok, like many big cities, sits on top of a tangled mess of underground stuff. Pipes, cables, tunnels, drains, and metro tracks. That mess keeps everything moving. Clean water, electricity, gas, internet, trains. It all depends on what's down below. But here's the ugly truth. That whole system is rotting. Most of it was built back when the city was way smaller, with fewer people, fewer buildings, and way fewer problems. Those pipes, they're rusting. The tunnels, crumbling. The cables, falling apart. Every day they go without proper care, they get weaker. Every heavy truck, every storm, every time a new building pops up, pressure builds underneath. And the system? It can't handle it anymore. In some areas, the sidewalks are starting to dip. Not a gentle slope, but full-on sinkholes. Streets that once felt solid now buckle under cars. People have fallen into holes while walking. Others have seen their homes lean, tilt, or crack right down the middle. One couple woke up to find the floor of their kitchen had collapsed into a dark, muddy hole. No one saw it coming, but the signs had been there for years, ignored, brushed aside, or covered up with quick fixes. Now let's talk about the rain. When those tropical storms slam into Bangkok, the city gets soaked. You'd expect a city of this size to be ready for it, but the drains underneath are a joke. Old, narrow, full of junk. Instead of carrying the water away, they back up, fast. Streets flood, basements fill, sewers overflow. And that water, it starts eating away at the underground structures. Flooded tunnels rot even faster. Cement erodes, metal rusts. The whole system weakens with every downpour. And it's not just the rain that's the problem. Bangkok is slowly sinking. The city is built on soft ground, and to make things worse, people have been pumping underground water for years. Too much of it. That creates empty pockets below the surface. And when the weight of the city pushes down, those pockets cave in. That's called land subsidence. And Bangkok has it bad. In some parts of the city, the ground has dropped by more than a meter in just a few years. Roads tilt, buildings crack, bridges shift. It's not just messy, it's dangerous. And it's happening right now. Other cities are watching Bangkok closely. This isn't some freak event. Cities like Jakarta, Mexico City, and even New Orleans are facing the same nightmare. The ground below them is falling apart piece by piece. And when it goes, it takes everything with it. The biggest shock came when a tunnel under a busy neighborhood collapsed. It wasn't some quiet, unnoticed shift. This was a loud, violent break. The road above it split open. Cars fell into the hole. Whole buildings shook. Some had to be evacuated. Others were torn down because the ground underneath was no longer safe. What made it worse? That tunnel had been marked as risky years ago. Engineers said it needed work. Reports were filed. Warnings were sent. Nothing happened. No repairs, no inspections, just silence, until the day it all gave way. Now the city is racing to fix what's broken. Crews are digging up streets, inspecting old tunnels, replacing corroded pipes. But it's a game of catch-up, and the clock is ticking. Experts say there are hundreds of danger zones still hidden underground, and no one knows when the next one will collapse. Bangkok is now a cautionary tale, a city that grew too fast without thinking about what was holding it up. Developers rushed to build, stacking towers and malls on top of an aging skeleton. No upgrades, no planning, just construction, everywhere. That kind of wild growth isn't unique to Bangkok. Cities all over the world are doing the same thing, building faster than they can keep up with, skipping maintenance, ignoring warnings, pretending the ground beneath them will hold forever. But it won't. Some neighborhoods in Bangkok are now marked as unstable. Real estate prices are dropping. People are scared to buy. Insurance companies are pulling back. Some families are moving out, not because they want to, but because they're afraid their homes will fall apart next. The government has promised billions to fix things. New materials, better designs, smart sensors to catch problems early. But trust is low. People remember the promises made last time. They remember the reports that were buried. They remember the cracks that were ignored until it was too late. Experts want deeper reforms, smarter planning, no more building on unstable ground, better water management, stricter environmental rules, and, most importantly, regular underground inspections. Climate change is only making things worse. Sea levels keep rising. Storms get stronger. Heat makes materials expand and crack. Old systems weren't built for this kind of pressure. Every year the risk grows. And here's a fact. Over 70% of Bangkok could be underwater by the year 2050. That's not a guess. That's based on current sea levels, rainfall patterns, and land subsidence. If the city doesn't act fast, huge parts of it will be lost. Some engineers say the only real solution might be to move entire neighborhoods. Not just fix them, abandon them. Build new ones on higher, safer ground. But who decides that? Who pays? And what happens to the people who live there now? So, was this really a natural disaster, or just the first building to fall in a global lie? Let us know what you believe down below. Like and subscribe for more.